All right, we're working on polynomial division and the remainder and the factor theorems. Those are in your book. I'm going to talk about them as we use them. So the first problem asks us to factor a third-degree polynomial completely if we know that x minus 3 is a factor. Now I want to remind you of a really helpful tool called synthetic division. Synthetic division, we're going to take this and set it up by coefficients. This is our synthetic division kind of half box here. Inside the box on the top row, I'm going to put the coefficients of my polynomial. Okay? And the thing that I'm going to divide is going to be not negative 3, but the 0 that you get from negative 3 or a positive 3. What you need to remember is if they give you a factor, change the sign. Now, sometimes they give you a factor, like in this problem. Sometimes they'll give you the 0, but we'll get to that. Okay, a reminder on how to do synthetic division. The first thing we do, first step, is always to just bring that first coefficient down. And then we're going to repeat these steps multiple times until we get to the end. We're going to take 3 and we're going to multiply it by 1. We get a 3. Now we're going to combine the two numbers in that row to get a positive 1. Do it over again. 3 times 1 is 3. Positive 2 combined with 3 is 5. And 3 times 5 is 15. Okay, so they told us that x minus 3 is a factor. And our factor remainder theorem say that if this is a 0, then it is most definitely a factor. If it's not a 0, it's not a factor. Factor completely if x minus 3 is a factor. So when they say factor completely, they want us to write this as a factored polynomial. So here's what we just did our synthetic division with, x minus 3. And as a result, these are the coefficients of the result of our dividing. Now, I just divided a third degree by a first degree. That means my the result of my division, what math calls a quotient, is going to be down by 1 degree. So I want to write this. 1 degree down. Let's say less than our original polynomial. So that was third degree. This is going to start it as 1x squared plus 1x plus 5. Now, can we factor that, or is there two numbers that multiply to give us 5 and add or subtract to give us 1? No, so that is completely factored. Okay, let's take a look at example 2. So we're going to do division, and I am going to also use synthetic division. But I wanted to point out that the reason why we changed the sign in x minus 3 is because we were really looking at x minus 3 equals 0. And when we solve that, we get x equals 3. And the reason I'm explaining that is because I don't have, on my divisor here isn't a 1x. But we can still do synthetic division if we go ahead and solve this for our variable. So 3a plus 2 equals 0. I subtract 2 and then divide by 3. So I'm going to use that on the outside of my synthetic division. Now, you can do long division, but it's long and it's much more prone to error. So I prefer to just do a little bit of fraction work here. Okay, my coefficients are 3 and negative 10 and negative 8. All right, so negative 2/3 times a positive 3, those 3's will cancel, and I'm just left with a negative 2. Negative 12 times negative 2/3, I'm going to do some margin work. And then I can see my answer. Looks like it's a positive 8. And we get a 0. So the result of our division, again, we started out with a squared. This is going to come down by 1, is going to be 3a minus I'm going to stop this and see you on the next video.